San Diego. Obviously a different backdrop today. No bayfront behind us. We're in a really awesome place. Actually, kind of my mind's blown with this tour we've gotten, and we'll talk more about that as we go along today. But it has been incredible. We've got the Star of India behind us. And so we'll do the formal intro for the podcast stuff here in just a second. Then we'll talk more about where we're at and kind of what's going on and just our day. We had some fun Comic-Con finds today, which is really neat. It actually felt like we were in the main part of the season where we were actually tracking some stuff down that's like, oh, people are going to get really excited about that. So we will get to that in a second. So ready to start?
I think so.
All right, let's launch into it here. Once again, for anybody listening into our live chat, we welcome you. But we know we have a lot of people that come on replay, and we also have a lot of people that just do the audio-only version on the podcast. So we kind of try to do this to make it fit for everybody. So if this is your first time, we will take questions twice, kind of at the about third mark, and then towards the end of the episode as well. And we welcome the questions. Obviously, we appreciate the things like super chats and all that type of stuff. Greatly appreciated. But we'll take all the questions, okay? All right, here we go. Welcome to Parks and Cons, the companion podcast and live show to the parksandcons.com website and YouTube channel, where it says cons, theme parks, collecting, and other fun stuff. It's June 19th, 2024. I'm your host, Sean. I'm here with Carmel.
Hello there.
Parks and Cons, your on-the-spot podcast where we take you to the heart of the action of the best conventions and themed entertainment events around. Today, we are here aboard a ship that may look familiar to Comic-Con fans. It's a great place to record for a Comic-Con show here. Voodoo Ranger brings this thing in behind the convention center for the last several years here, and is the San Salvador. And we're here at the Maritime Museum of San Diego, which has been incredible. It's been many years since we've been even in this area, to be honest. We were talking today just about like, we come down here and we're about an hour and a half, 2 hours away when we do these Comic-Con type drives and stuff. And it's like everything's about gathering Comic-Con stuff. And we don't usually have time to visit any of the other lovely places here in San Diego, maybe the occasional Old Town visit. But this has been really awesome doing a quick visit. And we're actually going to do a much more full kind of video of this whole experience and kind of how it may fit with people's Comic-Con trips in the near future.
Yeah, and we do drive by here when we're picking up friends at the airport during Comic-Con or before Comic-Con. But yeah, it's been a long time since we've actually stopped in this area, so very cool to have this excuse to do so, because it's a beautiful area, obviously.
Yeah, and big thanks to David Anton. He's the marketing manager here. He has given us an incredible like whirlwind tour. It was like so much just mind-boggling the stuff here. Didn't know even all the history that existed here and all the beautiful sites. And then for setting this up, because again, it's like it feels like we're at Comic-Con right now recording on this ship, which has been incredible. I also want to plug, he's got a really great YouTube channel as well. It does a lot of stuff if you follow along with us for other things like theme park stuff and fairs and things like that. Also Big Red Journeys. So definitely check out, and we'll come back to that again at the end, but just wanted to throw that out there. Okay. So as we start things out here, our day in San Diego was a busy day. And as I hinted to or alluded to a little bit ago, it did feel like an actual, like, I don't know, it felt more like a early July, mid-July day in terms of like actually finding something that's like, hey, this is something we got to hunt down and track down. So we'll get to that. That kind of concluded our day. It made us get here actually a little bit later than we thought, because we were on the hunt for something. But to pick up where we left off last week, we had talked about the Snowpiercer trolley from MTS, trying to find that, and we couldn't find that. And then we said when we wrapped up, maybe we'll find it. And if you follow us on social media, you'll know we did find it then. We made our way after we wrapped up. I think we went to Sweet Things and got a drink, crossed the tracks, and then Snowpiercer came rolling in. So we did get to finally see that in person, which was really cool. In terms of today, though, landing into our usual spot there at 6th and K where we park. As soon as we come out, we see, and I'm just going to start calling this the Gas Lamp Jumbotron, because it needs a name like the MTS, the, whatever we want to call it. So I'm just going to call it the Gas Lamp Jumbotron going forward. So if you follow us on social and you see us noting that, whatever, House of the Dragons has a promo on there, that's what I'm going to start calling it, the Jumbotron, because it really is kind of what it is. It's sitting right there in front of Baja Rick's. It's blocking the Omni view a little bit there from the convention center side. But it was just interesting because we came out and Fly Me to the Moon, the new movie coming to Apple, was like being promoted there, and that felt so Comic-Con to see like a upcoming movie or TV show. So that movie comes out before Comic-Con, so it's not there because of Comic-Con by any means, but it did kind of feel like it had that look. Yeah,
I mean, it was a big movie coming out from out there, which I'm sure we're going to see a lot of as Comic-Con approaches and during Comic-Con. So yeah, it did feel a little Comic-Con-esque to see that promo there. versus what we've been seeing. I think the fair gets promoted there. I think MTS has a promotion there. There's other, I think one of the
Well, and the big one is the rum. Yeah, I mean,
rum.
The rum is, so I counted because I was waiting to get the shot. It was like at a 4-to-1, I think ended up actually being ratio. So yeah, a lot more alcohol than movie or TV media up there right now. But this was our first trip, at least, in seeing that. We've seen online gaming promoted there, and who knows what may be promoted there during Comic-Con. But as soon as they started building it, it felt like that was going to be one of those new things on our checklist of things to watch, is what is the new thing? Would they show, I don't know, a trailer up there? Could they do that? Would they do that? Will NBC Universal come back to that location, and if so, will they utilize that? It'd be kind of weird for them to come to that spot and then you have, I don't know, Paramount Plus above them. So it kind of feels like if you have an NBC Universal offsite underneath it, that it will promo above it. But it was just really neat to see it in person that way, because it's like, to be honest, I know a lot of people aren't fans of the Jumbotron. It doesn't really bother me at all, because I don't know, it doesn't bother me. It just is kind of a thing there. And so for me, immediately, it's just more like, well, what Comic-Con stuff will I see on there? What, neat things. And so this was the first thing in that vein.
Yeah. And I don't generally do well with change. So yeah, when there's this big thing, it's like, to me, it's like, it's interrupting our skyline. It messes up our skyline. So I'll get used to it. And then as the ads are more applicable to our interests, I'm sure I'll mind it even less. But yeah, it's there.
Then we did a little tour around. We kind of focused more on the 4th, 5th, and 6th Street, and kind of up and down, back and forth. And not a ton, but a couple little things. And we posted, I think we posted most of the stuff on social as well already. But Spooka De Beo, for anybody that's a fan, and it seems to be several people that are fans of Spooka De Beo. We haven't been in quite a while. There's not one near us, and we just haven't been for quite a while. But
I think we went to the one at Universal City Walk
during the reopening.
During the reopening after COVID, we went to with a friend.
Yep.
But it's been a while.
Yeah. But this one, like for us, what's interesting is obviously we track Comic-Con things. If we come down here in December, we look at things and like, hey, maybe that'll be a Comic-Con thing or stuff like that. Like, it still bothers me that the Hilton Bayfront in the bottom floor there by the Exchange Pantry, is that what it's called? Whatever that bottom area is there. They had
Exchange Pantry is at the Marriott.
Okay, the other spot over there. But anyway, they had newspapers that were all Comic-Con, like years of Comic-Con, and that was like in December. And we're like, oh, this is going to be a cool thing for Comic-Con attendees to see like newspapers from like 10 years ago of Comic-Con, and instead they took them out and it's all like assassinations and things
regular
like that.
News.
So it's like regular news. So anyway, that being said, we always hunt these things. And so Spooka De Beo, I don't know, I'd have to go back and search, was like, it's been like 2 years, I feel like, that we've been watching that the signage has been up, meaning like taking ownership, but they still have the Dupars sign up. So it's over at 4th and J. The Dupars signage is still above the doors, so it's not like it's officially open, but now they have hiring signs out. They've got their menu running on a digital board. We saw people actively working in the kitchen, like fixing things and getting things placed. So
there's someone painting the windows, the signage on the windows and stuff. So it looks close.
And the thing I always say, like, if you're not it's always funny because sometimes people get like mad, like, who likes Spooka De Beo? And it's like, well, to me, the thing is it's even like, when we go to a theme park, like if they put a ride in that's not for me, the nice thing is it might suck some people away from something I love. And so in this case, even if you don't like Spooka De Beo, it's nice to have it there because it's going to be another option for people. And maybe it frees up a seat for you at the Wild Hare or somewhere else or whatever. So I'm glad to see it coming aboard. And it does seem much like Arcade Monster that it's being rushed along, and that it would be something that hopefully opens before Comic-Con. It seems at least likely at this point. Then we made our way over to 6th Street. If any of you went to the Hasbro offsite last year, they had like a little store offsite that took over the Sparks Gallery on 6th, just a kind of a couple blocks behind the Hard Rock there. It was brand new to us. We had never seen it. It's called Sweet Bear's Sweet Provisions. And I know a lot of people seemed excited on social about that one. It immediately caught us because it's like this bright blue with these big, it looked very theme park, honestly, like these bears and stuff in all blue. The name does not roll off my tongue, Sweet Bear's Sweet Provisions. I think we put a video together of it we'll put out, and I think I probably messed up the name, so I apologize in advance if I did. But we went inside and like they had like really good stuff, like cupcakes, cinnamon rolls, pies, cookies. Like, it was kind of overwhelming, all the sweetness that they had going on in there.
And they were like good flavors. Like, well, even the cinnamon rolls, they have the classic cinnamon roll, which is what we ended up getting and sharing because we were going to share it, and Sean doesn't
very limited.
He prefers the classic. But they also had like a Dutch apple cinnamon roll that sounded really good. And there was like a sea salt something cinnamon roll. I don't remember exactly, like caramel, I think. So that looked really tasty. But then the cupcakes, there was like
They had a watermelon flavored cupcake.
Yeah, and like a passion fruit one.
We bought a banana pie cupcake, which actually it was a cupcake, but it tasted like banana pie around like a kind of a cupcake structure. They had one that looked like the Hostess cupcakes with the little white, laces on top and stuff. And so I know a lot of people, so that we put out the Quick Eats video a couple days ago, and people seem to really like that. And I know if you follow our other stuff outside of Comic-Con, we talk about like, we don't really lean into food coverage very much. Like it's a big part of theme parks, and it's kind of like our least favorite part is covering like tastings and things like that, but we do it because it's part of all that. But I think I sometimes forget how much people are into that stuff, and then like, so we need to do more of that, is long story short. So we're like trying to make more of a constant concerted effort to find those things for you guys, because we get a lot of feedback that you like those things. So this should be one that I think some people may want to, I don't know if you're staying at the Omni or the Hard Rock, it might be worth taking a little few steps over down the 6th Street there. It
was really tasty. So even if you're not staying there, maybe take a little detour. And yeah, we don't know them. They seem very nice and stuff. There's another one. I don't remember exactly what city it's in, but it's a little ways off. But so there's a couple of them. But that one, yeah, the employees were very nice, and it was kind of chill and quiet in there. And there's like a bar there with like a handful of bar stools that you can sit and eat there. We ended up going out to the area outside the Hilton Gas Lamp to sit down and enjoy the treats. But yeah, very tasty. So I would, even if you're not in that immediate area, take a little detour, go down there, because it was pretty tasty. I think, did you go over the price already?
No.
So the cupcakes were about $4.50 each. They have some seasonal ones, so some are a little more expensive, and the classic cinnamon roll was $7.99. So not outlandish, reasonably priced, and they'll give you free coffee if you do make a purchase. They have like a little stand off to the side, and there's coffee available there if you wanted to get coffee.
Yeah, so fun little find there that hopefully a few of you will be interested in and help out there. And then from there, so we made our way over to the tents. We were under the invisible tents, if you will, in the Hall H kind of queue area there, because we were recording once a month we do a show called Eye of the Storm. If you're a Patreon supporter, Parks and Concert member, you know this. So we were like, okay, let's sit down. We were talking some of the new announcements on some haunt things for Universal Studios. We're talking about some Comic-Con things, just a bunch of things. But as we're kind of making our way walking over there, I'm like, is that a new trolley wrap? And it was like way off in the distance. And I don't think I have necessarily the best vision a lot of times, but I'm like, I feel like that's a new trolley wrap. And then you have better vision than me, and you're like, I don't know. And it's like, do we need to walk all the way over there? Because we're like ready to record, and we're right here by the hall, not too far from the Hall H line. And now we're going to walk all the way across to the Bayfront, go up on the bridge, try to get a better view of it. And so we decided that just I would go, and you would kind of wait to see if it took off.
Well, yeah, because we didn't want to miss it. Yeah. Like if all of a sudden it started to move, and then we'd miss it. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll stay here and I'll keep an eye out for movement, and if it does go, then I'll at least get some video of it. Even if it's from a distance, I'll at least get that. And then you went up to the bridge. And
both of us would have bet that it was not a new MTS. Like we're both like, is it the Silverton? Because we were just talking with our friend Kim from Outside Comic-Con, and we were talking about how the Silverton one has thrown us off sometimes. We found 2 new trolleys today that are not at all Comic-Con related. One is for like construction hardware. I'm sorry, software.
Yeah, Procore, construction. Yeah,
another one
software. And then they wanna
Arts Week or something like that. Yeah. Something like that. So anyway, we were very not sure, but we're like, well, we got to stay. So I go up there. I can't see it. Carmel leaves. She comes up there. And basically, if you followed along with this last year, there was a video game trolley, which I can't remember even what the name of it was, but people went nuts over it. But it was kind of in the same spot. It was so far that you're like zooming in and trying to do like, the magnifying glass again. It's like, okay, we're not sure. We don't think so. So we leave. We go record. We follow along with it. Nothing.
Well, when we were recording, we stayed in that area or whatever, because I'm like, okay, part of the issue was that it was being blocked by what trolley that was Ghosts and Elsbeth, and so I couldn't quite get a clear shot of what it was. And so I'm like, well, let's sit, and if either it will move or maybe that one will move, and then we can go over and get a better look. So yeah, we stayed. And so most of the time that we were recording, I was like staring at like, or we were talking, I was focusing on that, but then also I'm like just staring just nonstop at that spot. It was almost like in past years with Fun Day sales where you're just constantly refreshing in all their socials. So I was
For a
just
trolley.
staring, at the trolley. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that won't matter, and I'm pretty sure it's something we've seen, but I'm just going to stare at this and so that we don't miss it.
Yeah. And then as it wrapped, we decided we would break apart, and I would go towards the front of the convention center and hook around to the Jumbotron area and see in case something it rolls in, and you would go back up on the bridge and see if you could see anything. And then I get like a frenzied phone call and text that like the other trolley moved. I got like the tiniest picture, and it's Abbot Elementary. And it's like, neither of us watch Abbot Elementary. I know it's an incredible show. It's triggering for me because I work in education, and I can't watch anything related to like work stuff, but I have no doubt it's an amazing show. But we know people love it. Like, we know that's one of those shows that like people freak out about. In fact, earlier in the day, there was another show that said, is there a rap for the fair? And I thought she said, is there a rap for the bear? And I freaked out. So I'm like, it's the bear. Because there's just certain things that we know people will get really excited about.
Well, we would get excited over the bear. We like the bear. But I was like, no, the fair. And you're like, you said the bear. I'm like, no, the fair.
Yeah. But like, this is the stuff, I mean, like, to me, this is part of like why parks and cons exist, is like living for like finding the thing first, if you can, and like bringing it to the world. Because like people are excited all over the world, literally, that are coming to Comic-Con that are Abbott Elementary fans. So you did find that was Abbott Elementary. You got a couple grainy photos from way high up until another trolley pulled in front of it and blocked it again.
Well, that was basically what happened. So the Ghost Elspeth one moved while we were finishing recording, and I was like, okay, well, I'll go get a clear shot at least from up there and verify that it's not anything that we care about. And so I'm walking across the bridge trying to get to like a better spot, and then I see this other trolley like pulling in, and I'm like, no, it's not going to go to the same spot. No, it's not going to. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think it's going to the exact same spot. So I rushed and like just quickly took like 1 or 2 photos of more of the trolley, but that other trolley did pull into the exact same spot that the other one had been blocking it. And so I saw visually more of the wrap, but the actual photo that I got was cut off because that other trolley was pulling in. And then we kept trying, and in the end, we have nothing but grainy photos and not of the full wrap, but at least we know what it is. It is Abbott Elementary.
Yeah, and it was fun leading up to that because we send, like, when we're doing these things, we send the photos over to our friends over at the U-Blog. And so Carrie and Kara and Aaron, everybody's like trying to, again, you're putting it all together like as a crew to film, like, it's like, what is this stuff? And so in the end, to find that it's like, oh, it is more than just, you know, a thing. And it felt, again, very, because like that becomes a lot of our weeks ahead, is there's a lot of things of like, hey, there's somebody working up there. Are they going to put a wrap on that? Okay, now there's just an eye. Whose eye is that? You know, is, well, normally Paramount goes there. Is it a Star Trek eye? If it's a Star, you know. And so it was really fun to find that. But yeah, it was interesting because I was coming, you were more over there. So I'm like, we're going down the tracks. We're across the Bayfront Bridge. We're walking over to that station over there where we chased down Spider-Man last year, the trolley. And we're like going to areas now that are like blocked off, like MTS, like you can't go back here. So of course we didn't. So we ended up having to settle for the grainy ones, but it was a really fun hunt. And it was just fun to share that. That's like the excitement of Comic-Con. It's why, you know, from a few weeks ago, the tips for Comic-Con, you know, to me, part of it is waiting to see, you know, when it's not, like when we're involved, of course, it's us finding things. But otherwise, it's like, what's the blog going to post? Oh, wow, there's this new exclusive. There's this cool Alf figure or whatever it might be. And it's like, oh my gosh, that looks so cool. And so part of the fun of the Comic-Con season for sure today.
Yeah, and so tomorrow, I'm sure it'll be out in the open and people will get some beautiful photos of it. We'll get them the next time we're down here, hopefully. But it was cool to like see that it was something, because I would have bet money, but of course I think I was also trying to temper my expectations and not get too excited about finding something new or whatever. And so I was trying to convince myself it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not anything we care about. I'm pretty sure I've seen that before. And then yeah, in the end, it was actually something that matters.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And then we made our way over here. And as I said, we got over here a little bit later than we had wanted to. And we are at the Maritime Museum of San Diego. As I said, it's been many years. There's so much of San Diego that we love. I loved coming down. I used to come down to San Diego like every summer for a week and stuff. So I just loved the San Diego area before anything had to do with Comic-Con. But then as Comic-Con came in, that's kind of like all of our attention in San Diego feels like it goes towards, you know, things related to Comic-Con. And so it's been a long time since I've been over here, and I've never been actually inside the museum portion of thing. I've never seen the things that David was showing us today, which was like, again, it blew my mind that like, wow, we've been driving down here all the time and this has been here and we've not seen all of this. And so it's been really incredible. Again, huge thanks to them for reaching out, to David specifically for reaching out and having us come out and to record it. It's really awesome. You know, this is one of those things to become so iconic at San Diego Comic-Con, as this ship rolls in with Voodoo Ranger. It's like, that's such a Comic-Con thing, to have this big ship behind the convention center with people enjoying it. And as a little kind of tease to put out there, from what if you have had fun on the San Salvador before at San Diego Comic-Con, we think that fun will be amplified even a little bit more this year. I think there will be some fun stuff to count on. So we're not going to spoil anything, but we're just going to say, if you've been a fan of stepping on this incredible ship at Comic-Con in the past, we think you'll be even maybe a little bit bigger of a fan of it this year. There's going to be some neat things to come along with that. So again, we will not spoil that. But this museum is fantastic. We spent some time in the Star of India, just all of the history, the way they make it so accessible. It's been really incredible. So with that, we are going to come back out and we'll kind of talk about that in our what's on deck, because we have several videos that are on deck in the next few weeks here, because it is the season starting to pick up. I think actually next week is when we'll start shifting to like 2 lives on a lot of these visits. Like one will be a tour of an area of the convention center or gas lamp area, and then one will be more like the talk show like this. So the tour one will not, if you're listening later on replay or podcast, that won't be translated into podcast form or anything like that. That'll be more a walking tour. But for those of you that love a little bit extra taste of Comic-Con, probably a lot of our trips down here will start being like 2 or 3 videos in those. So, okay. All right, let's go ahead and take some questions.
Okay. So, let's see. Noel Gonzalez said, what your favorite SDCC Marvel Studios full phase 6 predictions? It will be Young Avengers, Doctor Strange 3, Ghost Rider, or Doctor Strange 3, Ghost Rider Project, Avengers 5, and X-Men. Who will you pick?
I mean, I would be all in on that. I will say at the moment, I am like super into Ghost Rider comics. It's just like I was never into Ghost Rider comics my whole life, to be honest, just to be fully transparent. And something over the last 2-3 years, I have been loving the comics. So like all of a sudden, I mean, I saw the old Nicolas Cage movies and all that, and it was like, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. But I've been like so into that. I guess that would be my lean that, but I like that list. I would love to see that MCU comes back to Comic-Con, because I think it's a big part of helping support Comic-Con, and I think that we all would appreciate them coming back. But yeah, whatever they bring, I'll be happy. I mean, I've said before, if Feige just comes up there and just gets a storybook out and says, everybody sit on the ground, I'm going to tell you, you know, I'm going to read an X-Men comic book to you, like I'd be good with that. So
that'd be cool. Yeah, I'm good with all of it. So let's see. Night Bodega says hi, of course, hi, and Chad says hello, and so hi to everybody. Thank you for joining us live. It's very cool to have you join us and to hang out for a bit. Night Bodega did want to shout out to David for allowing us or giving us a tour. And also you can see in the chat, Big Red Journey, that is also David there. So if anybody wants to give a follow, check out his YouTube channel, all of that. It's easy to do right there. Yes, yep, Charlie. Let's see. Noel Gonzalez, DCU Superman movie trailer comes to Comic-Con? ?
I love that. We talked last week. Great. Like, yeah, James Gunn and that group should be there for sure, for sure.
See, and Big Red Journeys point out that the official name of the Jumbotron is Gas Lamp Quarter Station Digital Information Board.
Wow, that is a mouthful. Yeah, no wonder I'm struggling with that one. Oh.
And thank you. You blog
Carrie,
for the
you
super
blog
chat.
The super chat. Thank you very, very much. Appreciate it so much.
Let's see. Amanda Rader pointed out that Abbot Elementary had a great offsite a few years ago. She thinks that they had Twinkies.
And Twinkies, nice.
Snacks Amanda, are always good.
And thank you for your support, Amanda, and Parks and Cons crew, and coming to our event. We'll talk a little bit about, because we have another little announcement related to that too. Thank you so much.
And then the U blog. So I think Carrie, literally my favorite game is Guess That Rap.
We wait all year. It's like Christmas.
And Carrie is so good at it. Was it last year that?
Well, she ultimately identified it was Abbot Elementary before you got the picture of where we could all identify. Because as I told her, it's like, it's Abbot Elementary, and she sent back, she had like cropped in, and she's like, I kind of thought it was Abbot, and it's like, yeah, you nailed it. You nailed it.
And then also the the wrap that was on Petco. I think last year she guessed first that.
Yeah.
I think that was Abbot Elementary too, and I think she guessed that. She's very impressive at that. Noel likes your Wolverine shirt, and then
thank you.
Amanda said that we decided to do our first Midsummer Scream this year, and of course it's the same weekend as Comic-Con.
Yeah.
What are you all going to do?
We are at Comic-Con. When we found out there was going to be that conflict, it was back in like September, and it was like it's one of those things like when you hear something like, I don't know, 10 months in advance, you're like, oh, but we don't need to think about it now. And then eventually you get, 6 months out and you're like, oh, I think we have to figure this out. And then you get 3 months out, you're 2 months out, and you're like, we just can't really find, like, San Diego Comic-Con takes up so much of the time when we're down here. We just can't really see breaking away and going up there. So we are going to do, for podcast listeners, we are going to do a pre-show. Like, we're going to do a preview of it a few weeks out because we still want to support Midsummer Scream. It looks like it's going to be the best Midsummer Scream ever, to be honest. And then we want to do a post-show as well, with bring some people on that actually were at the event and can talk about the Hall of Shadows and all the panels and the announcements and all of that. Because, I mean, Midsummer Scream is like the Comic-Con of the Halloween world here in California, so it's unfortunate that they had to collide this year, and it happens. San Diego moved a week. Convention center scheduling is tough. We know Midsummer did not want to conflict at all. That was not the plan. They tried their hardest to move it, and just sometimes it goes that way. But
it seemed Big Red Journey said, but the actor strike thing of the past, do you think we could expect better signings from actors and talent in the sales pavilion?
I hope, it's funny because I was thinking on the drive out here today just about like signings, about the panels, and it just feels like a lot on the celebrity side will want to come out. I mean, obviously some don't want to come out at all, but it does feel like more would be like, let's go ahead and come out and let's really support and be a part of this world again. So I really do hope so. I would imagine so. For me, honestly, it was the first thing that drew me to Comic-Con. I know we've shared that story before, like 2005, there's David Prowse. That's Darth Vader. First time I had seen him at a convention. It blew my mind. Okay, walk around the corner. Peter Mayhew's here. Oh my gosh, it's Chewbacca. Kenny Baker's over there. I think it was 2007. Mark Hamill's here. Like it was honestly all the original Star Wars people that like blew my mind so much. But it's what really began my addiction with Comic-Con. It's like, what big celebrity will be here that we can get their signature for, and then winning a few different wristbands over the years to do those types of group signings. So I really, really, really hope so. So, all right, so we'll come back to more questions. So if we didn't get to yours yet, we'll come back to those. But let's pick back up with some of the news of the week here. A few things we want to run down that kind of like grabbed our attention. And there's so much news. I know we plug it every week, but the U-blog, everything is being aggregated there. Everything's being gathered up there. Commissions, autograph signings, booth numbers, everything, parties, offsites, it's all there. So all we ever do is take a sampling of some of the things that I think just catch, our attention or my attention the most. The first was the NECA Alf figure. I think I talked about that earlier. We talked last week. NECA's doing some cool stuff. They started with their Comic-Con figure last year of Alf, which was really cute with the Comic-Con bag and the badge and all that. This year they have a cosplay Alf. I don't like it quite as much. He doesn't have the lanyard and stuff, but I think I'm still sucked in on that because I'm a sucker for when they do. I'm a sucker for when anything links back to the shows, like to, come back to the roots of things. So something that like is a convention or San Diego vibe that it actually feels specific is definitely a big deal to me. So really a big fan of that. And you stop me because I know a lot of times exclusives, you're like, it's fine, whatever. But Joe, go ahead and jump in if you want, but I won't still make you talk about every single one if you don't have anything.
Yeah, they're cool. Yeah. Follow the U-blog. They have all the information. I've listened to their recordings. We don't always watch it live, their weekly shows, but we do listen, so that's where I catch up on things. So yeah, I'm good with you just doing the rundown.
Okay. On the Mattel exclusive side, Mattel is back. Not that we thought they wouldn't be, but it's just, every time any little pieces, and I'll get to more of that you start putting together the puzzle of like what it means. Like, okay, that's a good sign. They're back. They announced their Little People, or the Fisher-Price Little People version of a bunch of the Batman characters. Looks cute. Not a big deal to me, but it's just like, okay, cool. They're doing Batman. They've got the Marvel Hot Wheels. They've got the Spidey with a Chase Wolverine, which will be interesting because it's like, it's cool to do the chase. And for the collectors, I also have this picture of like a little kid wanting Spidey and I'm lucking out and getting Wolverine and like crying at the booth or something, but that's a, a whole different thing. I'm sure somebody will want to trade with them, but it's fun that they're back. We would imagine that they're going to have, the usual presence there with a nice booth. They do a really good job with their display, their wrestling figures, their, I always love seeing the Motu stuff, the Master of the Universe stuff. Their Attorney on display was mind-blowing, so it's good to see all of those things. Toddland, I thought, had one of the biggest announcements of the week in a lot of ways, and it was kind of fun to hear, like, I'm just going to read word for word this real quick, and then they revealed today a part of this. We're back, and we're bringing new friends along with us. It's pre-Comic-Con season. Let's do this. 3rd footprint on the floor, so a 3rd booth, 4 new friends, and probably all capitals, exclusive of the con that's going to make flippers lose sleep. Follow us in the blog for pre-sale info. And so then today they announced Solar Opposites, which I know you and I really enjoy Solar Opposites. That's a lot of fun. The properties that they've already had, Bob's Burgers, we are huge fans of. I know you're even more so. We hadn't even watched it until 2020. It was such an incredible show. It was like the highlight in a lot of ways of our pandemic, of just watching that joyous show over and over. So that's been great seeing what they've done, but I guess I just didn't appreciate all of all of what Toddland had in terms of the exclusives until I'd watched the show myself. Family Guy I'd go way back with, like we were buying the DVDs back, 20 years, whenever that show started and stuff. But now Solar Opposites, love that, and very curious to see what else they have coming. But congrats, obviously, Toddland. Toddland is super cool, super rad. We've talked, they're also sponsoring our party, so full disclosure, I mean, we have announced that everywhere, but we just have always liked Toddland stuff and always made sure to visit the booths. And even back there was a time he was at Long Beach Comic Con. It's like, yeah, Toddland's at Long Beach Comic Con. So big Toddland fans, and excited to see what else they have cooking this year. Definitely.
Todd's a nice guy and very generous, and so if you're going to our party, you'll be able to gather some stuff, I'm sure, because he sent us quite a bit. So
yeah, sent us a lot of stuff. Then 2 big events people were very excited about. Both went on sale. Both sold out instantly. Both can move on in terms of, we won't talk too long on either because it's like, well, we can't go now if you're not able to. But again, ublog, the party returns Sunday. It is the official after con party. So again, I won't tease it too much because the tickets went on sale. They sold out like instantly, pretty much for the Patreon group, and then pretty much instantly for the regular group too. But those of you that are going to be there, obviously Carmel and I will stop by there as well. Excited to see everybody. And just, it's, there's such all good people involved in the blog, like so many good people. It's just like such a good vibe there. And then Fun Days went on sale. I guess it was yesterday. That feels like it was like weeks ago or something, but it was yesterday. A little bit different with like, here's a time. I know I personally really appreciated the not refreshing for 3 or 4 hours, because I feel like hitting the refresh button across multiple social media platforms for Funko Fun Days has been like the low light of many a summer. And so it was nice kind of just like check in at 5:30, although leading into it, there was a lot of like, what's it going to be? Is there going to be like a map that we have to find? Because there was all these like pirate, things and stuff like that. Or we're going to have to find a password and go listen to a podcast or a video. But in the end, it was just queue it. It was just get in, queue it with 170,000 or 200,000 or however many people are in it, and go and see what happens. And so we did do that. We fortunately, Carmel was the one that lucked out and was able to get in for us there. I think my best number was like, I don't know, 4,000, I think, or something like that, which I know was a lot better than a lot of our friends weren't able to get in. That's their best number was like 50,000 or something. So those things have come and gone, and we won't like focus too much on them because there's nothing to do with those things. But some exciting things coming there for those that are able to check those out. And then the last of the things, to me, kind of a big deal in terms of adding this puzzle of like Paramount. So Paramount Plus is the badge sponsor this year for San Diego Comic-Con. So while the badge itself is just like whatever in terms of the artwork, to me, the big deal about it is I do like Paramount Plus, and it adds to this. Like months ago, it was like, we're coming with the Lodge, and so we keep kind of adding these pieces to the puzzle of things. The wraps came on the trolleys early. That's a good sign. Now they're on the badge. So it feels like this is like Paramount Plus's year. So we'll see. So if you're a Trek fan, and there'll obviously be little tie-ins like at the Lodge for like Survivor or things like that as well. But it feels like there's going to be a lot of Paramount Plus so far. Now I am ready. Like I've got enough Paramount Plus. I'm ready to hear like, I don't know, Marvel is coming or Disney's coming. I mean, we know it's D23 Expo year. What does that mean? Warner Brothers, Universal, etc. So we'll see. But I did like, knowing that like, okay, Paramount really is all in on this thing this year. Like they are going all out they're, you know, in, and hopefully they've got some fun. At least to me, like, my priority Star Trek stuff. So I'm hoping they have some good Star Trek stuff, because Discovery season is over. So what in the Star Trek realm will they tease? The new Starfleet Academy show. They just announced Paul Giamatti is going to be a part of that. That's like crazy legendary actor being a part of their Star Trek show. So I'm curious. I'm very curious to see if they have a panel for that and other things.
Well, yeah, and obviously the fact that it's a streaming platform, you can still go back and watch Star Trek, so they can still promote Star Trek and still promote, you know, subscribing to Paramount Plus and stuff. So yeah, who knows? But that, yeah, it's all very promising and exciting, I think. Yep.
Okay, we'll take the next round of questions. So if you have any of those, go ahead and throw them in there in a moment here. Before that, we wanted to do another one of our event updates here. So our tickets have closed as of Sunday night for our 10th anniversary event that's on June 30th. We thank all of you that have been able to support in whatever way that you have. We're very excited about the event. We've got a lot of fun plans, which similar, since tickets are closed now, we won't talk, like, it doesn't really matter now because we're not selling tickets. That's over. But we did want to thank another sponsor coming aboard. We want to thank all the sponsors, of course, but the last, or I would imagine the last of the group that will be announced. So we'll see, maybe others will. But the Maritime Museum of San Diego. So they have some fun stuff that we're going to be able to share with attendees at the event as well. And so I'm super, like, I would have been excited about this at any point, because it's like, oh, how cool, this museum. But now actually having been here and seeing how cool it is, I'm like, okay, people need to make sure to visit, because there's so much going on here and it's so fun. And I know for us, it's going to be like, okay, this is a much more, or it's not been a visit for us before. It's going to be more of a regular thing. So we want to come out and check this place out, because it's a lot of fun stuff and just so much history that is all.
The amount of history is like kind of insane and overwhelming of how old some of these pieces are and stuff. And I'm like, wow. So, but I don't know if you're noticing on the recording, we are actually, since we are on the ship, we are like swaying and stuff. So I don't generally do well with motion, but I did happen to take a Dramamine this morning, which I think was a good thing, because so if you are coming here and you do have any motion issues, maybe bring a Dramamine just in case, or, you know, whatever your issue or whatever your medication of choice is. But yeah, it's beautiful. And obviously anytime that you're in San Diego, it's cool and to be out on the water and stuff. And there's some really cool restaurants down the street and stuff to get food out. So definitely worth a stop.
Yeah, for sure. And then if you did buy tickets, if you're coming, just make sure to check your email, because Carmel did reach out recently about your food choice, because we have to let the catering staff know we have to put that food order in this weekend. So I believe tomorrow is the deadline for that. So if you can, make sure to fill that out and get it back to us, so we can make sure to get the food item of your choice there for you. Then as we preview kind of what we have coming up, obviously we have the live today. We are going to have a live next week, again, as we said, a show. The plan is the 25th, but we're going to put a graphic out again with some updates on the times coming up. So we got to work a few things out, because multiple other events have come up for next week. So we're kind of like smoothing all of that out. But the 25th is the plan. So we'll put that out there on social media. So follow along there. Also, as I said, the plan is to do the 5th Street, 6th Street kind of area. People seem to like that last year, of seeing like what restaurants are open, what's closed, what stores, things of that nature. And then I guess we'll do another one of the backpack videos, because we did that last year and I thought, well, we just have that video. But people have asked to do a new version of it. And so we'll look at that, and we'll obviously see how we don't want to do a repeat. So we'll see what we can update on there and see what we can maybe help people with in terms of those things. All right, let's go ahead and jump to the questions, and then we'll get to the tips.
Okay, so Ariel Estendarte said you just got home. So I'm not sure if you caught our discussion on the Funko Party lottery, but obviously being queued and random is kind of evens the playing field. So that was nice, and not having to sit and refresh the whole time was very nice, of course. So, and as Sean mentioned, if you didn't listen or hear that part, we were able to get tickets. I somehow was able, Friday was sold out by the time I got in. So we have Saturday. So yeah, it is what it is, I guess. Let's see. Noel Gonzalez. Oh wait, that's not a question. Carrie pointed out that you just said excited and the blogs party in the same sentence. So generally speaking, we've discussed it. We're not really party people, and Sean is even more introverted than I am. And so parties are not his favorite type of things. So
not a fan of parties at all. But we're doing a show here and we love the blog. And so we are excited in that way. Yes. Very excited. Sold out so fast too, because that's amazing. That's incredible, and it should be.
Yeah, definitely. Night Bodega congratulated us on getting Fun Days tickets. Let's see.
Questions?
It will be the Mortal Kombat 2 teaser at SDCC. Again, hopefully, who knows? Let's see.
Is the Night Bodega, is the Hard Rock a great place to see famous people? Actually, so there was this question on Blade. We saw Wesley Snipes there back in the day in the Blade Times-ish. And that was kind of just like, that was one of those very early, I don't know what year it was, but very early, like, blew my mind Comic-Con moments where it's just like, I think it, like, honestly, I think it went in there to like use their seats to sit, which they don't put the chairs out anymore. They like remove all the chairs. If I don't know if people have noticed that, but we noticed that because like right now you can go in the lobby and like sit for a few minutes, and when you get about a day or two before San Diego Comic-Con, they remove all of their couches and chairs, so it's standing only. Even if they're not doing an off-site type thing in there or any sort of promo in there, they just still remove the chairs. But at the time, like, we were taking a break, and then it's like Wesley Snipes comes walking in. A few years later, Michael Rooker, we saw coming walking in there. So you know, it's interesting, just across the street at the Omni, there was the year, I don't know, whatever year It came out, and like McAvoy came out and Hader and all of them were right there. So definitely that corridor of, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of star sightings there. And it's not really like our biggest thing of kind of hunting those down, but it's just, it's so surreal when you see that in person.
Let's see. Carrie said, thank you. Cool. Yeah, and I think those are all.
Oh, and questions. What did Amanda say about gonna miss
that sweet Gary swag?
Oh, okay. Cool.
So reference to the party, the blog party.
Hope everyone has fun. Cool. Okay. All right, let's get to these San Diego Comic-Con tips. A few of them I pulled from this week that we put out on social. The first one up, just to note and kind of elaborate on, is the trolley. It was something, we don't take the MTS in. We always are kind of down there somewhere parking. And so even in our first year way back, like, we just walked in. So we've never really, actually, no, I take it back.
I think
there was a year we took
we parked in Old Town and took the trolley in.
Yep, I forgot about that.
Which was kind of interesting for me because at that time we weren't really doing conventions much, and I wasn't really comfortable necessarily in this like arena with people and like cosplay and stuff. And I remember being on the trolley riding in, looking around, I'm like, and everybody's in cosplay and in all the geek attire, and I'm like, wow, these are our people. Is this? It was just a weird trip for me because that was like the first time that I was kind of like looking in a mirror to some degree and seeing people around me and realizing, oh, I'm one of these people now.
We all love this stuff, yeah. Yeah, that's what you love about Comic-Con.
And I think that was like year 2.
Yeah. So we haven't taken a long time, but it is important to know, because something that we've heard from people throwing them off is that when they are coming into town, coming into the convention center area, and that they will oftentimes, let's say they want to get in the regular general line, you know, the everything else line, which is going to kind of hook to the side past the chutes over by Hall H, and then they'll get off though at the convention center stop, which ironically the convention center stop is a little bit before the convention center, and for the sake of Comic-Con, actually kind of isn't the convention center stop as much as the gas lamp stop is. The gas lamp stop is more centered, where if you're getting in the Hall H line or the everything else line, it just makes a lot more sense there. So last year we took some video, I think it was like after Comic-Con, to like be able to illustrate that to help people. So we put that up. Hopefully that will help, you know, at least one attendee out there get off the right stop, because it is a long walk if it's not the one you want to. Now, that said, if you have ADA access, you know, you're coming in if you're wanting to go to the Marriott exhibitor, there are people that would want to get off at that one. It's just, there's a lot of people that end up wanting to just get in the everything else line, and then it makes it it basically doubles the walk in a lot of ways. So next up on that, the prioritization of shopping and things like that. You know, it's something we always share, just because a lot of times we'll have people surprised that like the floor is particularly busy on Thursday or particularly busy on Sunday, but it's just something really, it's more about what's going on in the panel rooms than anything else. But there is also a certain part that a lot of people wait to see how much money they have at the end, and people also buy right away when they just can't wait to get something. So there's a lot of times just a few different things going on there. But many years of Comic-Con, we found the floor, a lot of the rows, a little easier to traverse on a Friday or Saturday. Again, now it depends. The best time to walk the floor is a Friday in the middle of the day when Walking Dead has filled up Hall H, And I don't know, Fox Animation has filled up Ballroom 20, and people are online for the Marvel panel the day after. And so you've got like, 20,000 people pulled outside of the building. That's the best time to be on the floor if there really is a time to choose. But that said, if we don't have those big studios, if we don't have some of those big things, like obviously last year, not having the same presence in the panel rooms of Hollywood as we would in a non-strike year, it made it very different. You didn't have people lining up. You constantly had walk-in. And so that's just something to consider. In the end, we don't allow it to like dictate anything for us, but especially we know for new attendees, that's the type of question we get a lot of times about like, is there any dates slightly better, things like that. And so just something to consider there. And then the last one we have, and I know it's something we work with a lot, is just being very specific in locations when you're trying to meet up with people. At conventions can be very difficult, and a lot of times we find, and it's something we used to like more like, oh, I'm on row 2300 or whatever, I'm by this booth. What booth is that? Like the more specificity you can give to something that your friends, family, whoever know. So we always, we've done that tip for many years now. We always post the end of the Bob's Burgers line. So we always update it with whatever Todd lands. So last year was Luis, on the sign. It's like, that's a real like kind of landmark that if you're familiar with all that part of the convention floor, you'll know exactly where the person is. But the most specificity, is good. So I know like for us, there's other nuances to it because my feet are so bad with standing. It's always like, well, Carmel let me know where she's at so I can come to her. So I'm not just kind of standing in front of that sign waiting for her to come, because now it's going to mess up my feet worse than just walking. So there can be other nuances like that as well. But specificity helps a lot in those interactions, I think.
Yep, definitely.
All right, our Go Watch It to look at our things that we have so far this year for our offerings on the podcast, and more specifically in this case in the YouTube. Obviously we still are at the phase where it's like, hey, it's not a bad idea to look at some of those past playlists, especially if you're a new attendee and just want to get a feel for what some of these booths look like or how busy things are. What does it look like going down the escalator, and that whole situation. Those are all on our channel for many years of playlists. There are hundreds and hundreds of videos. We also have the Vega Cafe video there. We are going to be adding the new one from today, I've already forgotten how to say it. What is it? Sweet
Bears Sweet Provisions.
There you go. That one will hopefully be up tomorrow. So if you're interested in some sweet treats there over not too far from the Hard Rock, we'll have that video up. And then very soon we'll have we'll have next week's live, but very soon we will also have the backpack video like in the next week or so. And then our plan is very soon, we haven't scheduled the exact date, to come back here to the Maritime Museum, which this will kick off kind of a new series for us that we've talked about for years. Is a goal has been for years to start putting Comic-Con content out a little bit earlier, like more like April-ish. We do our Patreon live talk, the 100-ish days, but to do like a little bit more in that April, May, and the only way we really can do it is storing some things up earlier. So what we've wanted to do for a while is to find places that will be useful to Comic-Con attendees during the convention. And so we're going to kick it off with the Maritime Museum, of kind of those people that are extending their Comic-Con stay. It's also a common question we get is like, well, I have these 2 extra days before Comic-Con starts. I'm getting it on Monday. What should I do? And of course, like what we do is we just walk in circles deliriously through the gas lamp, which is just like hot. And, it's fun because we're like trying to solve clues, but there are other things to do, whether it's coming here, Legoland, etc. So we are going to start putting some of those videos together, but this year we're going to kick it off with here. The Maritime Museum of San Diego has given us a really good reason to start that series, so we thank them for that as well, because it gives us a kick in the butt to be like, okay, let's do this, and then maybe we come out and do a video like that for, let's say, Arcade Monsters or something like that, other new attractions and things, because that's, to me, one of the biggest things I've seen change with attendees in the last decade is how early attendees come to Comic-Con these days. Like there's so many more. Of course, there are a ton of people that are driving out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, etc. But it's just, as we've shared before, when we used to come out the Monday before Comic-Con, we were very early. Like we didn't bump into people on the streets. And now on Monday, like every, 100 feet is somebody like, hey, we watch your YouTube videos, or they're taking pictures of the same wraps we are and stuff. So a lot of people are coming out early. And so we do want to do more earlier in the season for next year, hopefully, have a few videos that are like, hey, here's some ideas to start your Comic-Con season. Here's some places that you can visit. And so we'll have that video of the Maritime Museum coming up here, hopefully in the next few weeks as well. Cool. Any last questions that we had, since we kind of had a little bit extra of the meat of the sandwich there?
Let's see. It's not a question, but Carrie pointed out that when the Marvel Hall H panel is going, that the floor is empty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Good call.
Yep. And Manny said, have you ever used neck fans? If so, do you recommend them?
I have not.
We have not used them.
I've seen people use them, but no, not my thing.
Yeah, to me, I don't know, it's kind of cumbersome to add, like, we're always carrying like a ton of stuff around as it is. And so adding one more thing, I don't know, we've managed all these years without it, so we don't, but I know that other people do. So I'm sure, I don't know if anyone in the chat has any suggestions on that, but for us, we're fine without it. Ariel said,
are you planning on watching Deadpool Wolverine movie at night during the con? If so, what theater you were? That is a TBD. We're not really sure about that. In terms of the theater, though, it is tough because you've lost the gas lamp. You know, we used to go see movies. There used to be screenings as well. You know, Attack the Block, you know, was down there right there in the gas lamp. At what was it then? AMC, whatever it was. And then you also had Horton. Horton was separate, but you had two theaters down there. Saw Captain America for the first Avenger in Horton with Chris Evans himself there, like introducing it. So there was a lot of history there of movie theaters, and it's so weird that they've disappeared. So I think for you and I, on the rare occasion that we catch movies down there, it's like we're ending up in Mission Valley or Fashion Valley. I think that's kind of where we've been on most cases, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We have our car down here and stuff, so we can, you know, drive to different places. So yeah, I keep trying to put it out in the universe that maybe we'll somehow get an advanced screening opportunity for that movie, because we want to see it as early as possible, but for a Thursday night of Comic-Con, I don't know that we're actually going to get there. So I think we have tickets for it somewhere. I don't know where, but I don't know. I'm hoping we don't need to use them, because somehow we'll be seeing it before that. Yeah. But as of right now, we'll see.
Yeah. And then Night Bodega just said Fashion Valley is his recommendation there. So if you are listening on the podcast version, want to throw that out there as well, because we definitely trust Manny, and so he thinks Fashion Valley is a good spot there. So with that said, we are going to wrap up this episode. Once again, huge thanks to the museum, Maritime Museum of San Diego. Huge thanks specifically to David Anton, marketing manager. And again, also he has some really cool, if you're like a parks and cons person where you also like the park side of thing in addition to the con side of thing, check out Big Red Journeys, because he's into, like, I think all the same stuff we are, honestly, like all the same stuff, and does some really cool work over there, and honestly hits a lot of events we're not able to as well. And so highly recommend following along there. Once again, we thank all of our Parks and Cons crew members. We thank everybody that supports us throughout the year on Patreon. Thank you so much. We do have the preview night tour coming up there for Parks and Cons crew members. So Carmel will be posting that soon. I think I keep saying that on Mighty Network. So hopefully it's very soon that goes up there, so that we have the details for that. But it is a plan. It is happening like last year. So we'll pick that back up. So you can pencil that in if you're interested. That was a lot of fun hanging out with you guys during that last year. So that's coming up there. If you've not already done so, please leave us a like on this video, or if you're listening in the podcast catcher there, wherever you find it, if you can leave us a positive review there, it is very much appreciated as well. You can follow along with us at Parks and Cons in real time on X, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and of course YouTube. Wrapping up here from the beautiful San Salvador. Until next time, we'll see you in line somewhere.
Bye.